This is M.M. and we're here with Pastor Apostle Lynroy Scantlebury, and he just contested the recently concluded general elections for the constituency of St. Peter, and I thought he ran a stirring campaign. That's why it's a privilege of mine to be here to talk to him this evening. Mr. Scantlebury, it was my opinion that the people were eager to vote the Democratic Labour Party out of office. And in so doing, they sort of, well, in St. Peter, they ignored your actual campaign, which was, in my opinion, the best of all three, if you consider the Democratic Labour Party and the Barbados Labour Party. The Democratic Labour Party campaign was poorly managed. It's the worst campaign I've ever seen managed by them. Colin Jordan won because the people wanted the incumbents out. And to make it worse, he's been made a minister. That shows the level of talent that's on the other side. Because if he can be a minister, well, look at the talent that they have. And your campaign was magnificent.
Thank you.
I've noticed in your points here, you're talking about the rebranding and revitalization of Spicetown environs. Could you just tell me about that in a nutshell?
Well, let me just say that, again, thank you for having me on your blog. And
You're very welcome.
I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
And again, congratulations to Mr. Jordan on winning here in St. Peter. But the reality going forward is that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in St. Peter. Part of our plan going forward, and in talking with those who are instrumental at the museum here, Spicetown is losing a lot of its historical feel, and it is not bringing the type of productivity that it could have bring. And what we look at doing is rebranding Spicetown, giving it a theme, and then incorporating much of its historical identity.
But I've also noticed that there are lots of people who don't actually know about Spicetown. I mean, Spicetown,
Okay.
near the seaside.
That's true.
They think that the highway above is Spicetown. The buses come and they go there. Lots of people don't know about down Spicetown where the old post office was.
That's the bypass that has created that issue here in St. Peter. But I also think that even with the bypass being there, if we do what's necessary, it wouldn't affect what actually happens in Spicetown. And most individuals don't actually know that the main industry in Spicetown in its day was actually whaling and not fishing.
Whaling?
Whaling. That was the main industry in Spicetown, hence why we had so many schooner bays and so many.
So you mean they actually used to catch whales? Whales used to be out
yeah,
there in
they
the
actually
sea?
used to go out from here in Spicetown to St. Vincent, between St. Vincent and St. Lucia, and they would actually, catch the whales and then bring them back to Spicetown, which is one of the reasons you still see at a certain point of the year, whales will be passing across this area here in Spicetown. So that's very significant.
So that's something that you would want to revive?
Well, not revive, but make it a part of the historical branding of Spicetown, to give people an understanding of what you're coming into. When you come to Spicetown, this is the history of Spicetown, which is what we don't actually have. So we're looking at, in terms of, if you're going to put some type of monument up, you may want to put a monument of a whale up, something of that era to say, hey, listen, this is what we were known for back in the day. So again, as I said, rebranding Spicetown, giving it its historical appeal again, and then bringing the type of businesses into St. Peter that are necessary. For instance, if you wanted to buy a suit, you can't do it in Spicetown.
Why not?
There are no stores that allows men to buy a suit in Spicetown.
I never thought of that.
Think about it. There are no jewelry stores in Spicetown. You want to think about all of the main brands are out of Spicetown.
So all of this falls under the rebranding of Spicetown.
All of this falls under the rebranding of Spicetown, and it is also going to, based on what we have planned going forward, also generate tremendous income. It would also generate much employment here within St. Peter as well too. So, not divulging all of what we have.
Yeah, but
just
that's
to give you an
an
idea
outskirt.
of what is going to be coming.
You also mentioned here, in fact, readdressing the state of the Six Men's area. In fact, it was in Six Men's when I heard you that was really impressed and turned on to you.
Okay.
That night is, congratulations by the way on a very, very fine presentation that night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Readdressing the state of the Six Men's area. I know you mentioned it that night, but
Yes.
could you mention it for those the audience who may not have heard?
Okay, well, a lot of individuals are unaware of the fact that those who are living in Six Men's right now are squatting.
Are squatting. And could you explain to the audience who might not know exactly what is squatting or who is a squatter?
It means that you're actually living on land that you don't own.
And
Okay.
why is that? Why
Well,
are the people in Six Men's?
The successive government have not done anything to address the situation to give those residents in St. Peter the opportunity to purchase the spot of land that they're living on. Many of these individuals have been living over there for years, 30 years plus. They've raised families. Some of their children have gone on to have families, and I've been over there. It's in the worst condition I've ever seen.
But some of these people used to live on the coast, like on the beach. They are where the beach is now.
Correct.
So who actually moved these people from over there to over there?
Well,
did they move on their own?
They moved on their own. Many of them moved on their own because the land was there. No one was actually using it. There are a lot of situations going on where that parcel of land is concerned. But to say this, the people of St. Peter has been given a raw deal. Okay?
By successive governments.
By successive governments. For instance, they were told that the marina would not be built with the marinas there. They were told they were unable to give them a state-of-the-art fishing complex. Well, Nikki Beach is there right now. You know, all this coastal management assessment and all these different things. But the land there in Six Men's is one piece of land. And there are so many individuals who've been living on it for so long, but never addressed by the successive governments.
But can I find out something? Does this land have an owner?
Yes, it does. From my investigations, the owner of the land is Canadian.
And they don't live here?
And they don't live here.
A Canadian Barbadian, a Barbadian Canadian, or a Canadian Canadian?
Canadian. And so that land, as you know, in my investigations, I was made to understand that none of our two ruling parties have ever done anything.
And it's, you know, it's worthy to note, audience, that this Six Men's area is actually a Barbados Labour Party stronghold.
It is, for years.
Yeah, it's a Barbados Labour Party stronghold. And they have actually done nothing for the people of Six Men's. Well, none of the two parties, but even worse so, it's a Barbados Labour Party stronghold.
That's correct.
You know? And it amazes me.
Well, I was very amazed, and I'm constantly very amazed to the fact that, you know, I was there and spoke to an elderly gentleman that to this day he's been living in Six Men's now, and he said it's been 15 years he's been trying to get running water and electricity in his house.
15 years?
15 years he's been trying to get running water and electricity. And his house is situated in such a way that if there's heavy rainfall, the area around his house floods, and his toilet facilities are outside, so he cannot get to his
no, you know, that's a shame, regardless of to who this guy is supporting.
Right.
That is, you know, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. In today's standards, it is.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
So, very much so.
You know, what can you do? I mean, what? Well, you also mentioned about improved sporting competitions and events. That's another thing that tickled my fancy as well. Being a former cricketer and so on, an athlete, could you break that down a little bit for me?
Okay. Well, one of the things that really doesn't happen in Barbados is that sporting events don't really pay.
Except it's cricket.
Well,
but you got to make it though.
To a certain point,
you got to make it at that level, yeah.
But in St. Peter, we have 26 communities that makes up St. Peter. I think it would be very good.
I didn't even know that.
If you know, I've done my homework.
You see the information that this guy provides?
You know,
go ahead.
We have 26 communities, 36 plantations. So what we want to look at.
You know, I think we're gonna have to do this every week. Invite this guy back on our show. You know, would you be available to come here like
I
at
would
least
be very
once a
much-
week?
Yeah, I would be very, very much open to sharing this information with the
At least
public.
once a week.
Yes,
So you hear that, audience?
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Apostle Scantlebury has promised us, he's given his word, he's a man of God, that we can have access to him at least once a week.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Well, I know that you're a very busy man,
Yes, sir.
and I myself have to be running. So, you've already made your promise,
Yes, sir.
you're going to come back. So, it was very nice having you here.
Thank you very much,
Right?
sir.
And
Thank you.
I'm very
Appreciate
eager
it.
to come back so you can, you know, explain a little bit more about your plans for St. Peter.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Right? So, that's all for now. Good night. Good.
All right.
Oh,